Viewpoints on the talk station FM 107 AM 1240. I've got a caller standing by. Mike, I'm going to get to you in a moment. First, let me just welcome Ray Nothstine. He'll be joining us in a moment. But Ray, good afternoon to you. Look forward to our conversation coming up here in just a moment.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here.
Let me go to Mike in Newport, who was calling earlier about our conversation with about our conversation with Rob Schofield of NC Policy Watch. Mike, yes, good afternoon. Your thoughts, sir?
Well, I'll tell you, as sat there and listened to him speak, I only thing I could think of was the exact same thing that's happening on a national scale with President Trump. We lost. There must be something that was unfair. It's got to be unconstitutional, so on and so forth. I just wish the Democrats would turn the page on all of this racism, unconstitutional. That's all they've got. Anyway, I would love to know how in the world you could prove that these people were elected due to racial bias. I just don't see how it's possible to prove that.
No, it's not possible to prove it, but you can rest assured that justices don't have to give us a justification for their ruling, okay? And I can tell you, due to the failure of certain leaders in this state, we are looking at one of the most liberal judiciaries in the country in North Carolina. And I'm just going to say to you, it's a little frustrating. We have turned a blind eye to the influence and the impact of our judiciary. So to your point, Mike, how can they prove it? Trust me, it's in the eye or ear of the beholder, and the beholders are appellate and Supreme Court justices in North Carolina who have a very strong liberal/progressive leaning.
Well, it seems like the liberals, on the national level, all they have to do is the same thing: is find activist judge and to stop something.
Hello, Mike. Mike, hello. Anyone home? You're absolutely right. You are absolutely correct. Mike, do you have a PhD in political science? If not, we would like to grant you one. Because, I'm shaking my head. Before I lose my cool, we'll just leave it right there. But Mike, you are absolutely correct.
Well, let me use my political expertise one last time with last comment.
Okay.
Lockwood for Congress.
Oh, see you later, Mike. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Take care, sir. Thanks again. All right. We've got Ray Nothstine with us for the Civitas Institute, the editor of Capitol Connection. And Ray, just a quick comment about my observations a few moments ago. This is going to be a fight in the judiciary. Am I right or wrong?
You're absolutely right. I think one of the things that we have to be...
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say we have to be so concerned about like you said, really the infiltration of our judiciary, because look, when we look at North Carolina, we have to have the people ruling the state. We have to have the people being able to go through the constitutional process and have a say in their constitution. That's how it works. And so for that to be frustrated and upended like it was, there has to be a serious retribution and reckoning for that.
But you can't. You can't. They are untouchables. So, and the only thing to do, of course, is to remove them from office. And, I just want to say a prescient statement here, ladies and gentlemen. With growing influence of progressives in North Carolina, eventually those positions that were normally been elected positions will become appointed positions, and you can rest assured we're going to see another 150-year stretch when liberals and Democrats and progressives run the state as they did prior to roughly 2006. I'm using that random number. All right, Ray Nothstine's with us. I'm sorry, I'm off on a high horse. Ray, let's talk about last evening's presentation by the governor, State of the State address. One of my observations is it seemed to be rather humdrum for a biennial State of the State address, the governor's first public announcement to the public and to the legislature. I didn't get a sense of energy there, but there were a lot of interesting presentations being made about his agenda. Your observations about last night's address?
Well, my main observation is he did improve his delivery a little bit. I heard he had practiced his speech 7 or 8 times over at the General Assembly. But you're right, it was a little bit ho-hum. It didn't seem to have a full throttled energy behind it. And I think part of that is, Lockwood, is, look, I mean, Governor Cooper's been around the block. He's a very skilled politician. But he's offering up a lot of old ideas, a lot of old big government programs, initiatives, stuff that, was popular years ago, stuff that was popular before the Republicans took over the General Assembly. I mean, he was offering a lot of rehashed big government programs that, a lot of the voters rejected with the change of the General Assembly a few years back. So, I think part of it is he realizes that, that we do have a little bit more of a divided government. The supermajorities are gone, so there has to be some compromise. And look, Lockwood, I mean, his big initiative is setting up a new entitlement program in North Carolina with Medicaid expansion, which would put 70% of able-bodied adults on the rolls, and it would cost this state a lot of money. And I think he realizes that he has to tread carefully because he wants to expand government.
Well, in the process of expanding government, let's look at the fact that the legislature has been very frugal, very fiscally responsible. We've had surpluses now for, 6 years, if I'm counting correctly. Let me see, all of Pat McCrory's session and the past 2 years. So, yes, 6 years. We've had a balanced budget and surpluses at the end of the year. More importantly, the ability of the state to step up to the plate on the issue of the rainy day fund, the surplus monies that the state has set aside for catastrophes, have been a boon to North Carolina. North Carolina has dug itself out of a major financial hole, $3 billion in debt to the federal government at the turn of the decade, and yet we've stepped out of that hole to the point where we now have surpluses. Now we've had to spend those surpluses because of the damages associated with Hurricanes Florence and Michael, and also damages for fires in the western part of the state. Did the governor give any sense to you that he recognizes the value of fiscal responsibility? I didn't get any great energy in that argument or that presentation.
No, he talked about North Carolina being better off from an economic standpoint than where it was, but no, he did not give any either lip service or credibility to this whole notion of fiscal sanity that has really put this state on a whole different track than where it used to be, obviously. I mean, we're now one of the top 12 states to do business, and before we were in the bottom 10. And so it's been a dramatic turnaround here in North Carolina. And, I think Cooper just has a different worldview than conservatives and people that believe in free enterprise. He wants more money in the public sector and not the private sector. He wants to transfer that wealth from higher earners in North Carolina and give it to government, give it to a government cabal to really manage Lockwood. And I think, it's just a different worldview. And I think that's one of the things that Republicans need to do a better job and conservatives need to do a better job in this state is creating a contrast, because I still think there's a considerable amount of citizens in our state that think Cooper's just this moderate or down-home guy. And, but his rhetoric and his record is a lot of high taxes, high spending. It's kind of the same old stuff Democrats have been pushing for decades and decades.
We're going to talk with you more about that in a moment, Ray. Ray Nothstine with us for a few more minutes. Again, the editor of Capitol Connections, publication of the Civitas Institute. And by the way, go to the website, nccivitas.org. We're going to get into some more comments about a column you've recently authored, Ray. And I want to get your observations about the issue of education in his presentation. Of course, we're talking about Governor Cooper's presentation last night, State of the State address to the legislature and to the citizens and taxpayers of North Carolina. You're listening to Viewpoints here on the Talk Station. Our guest this afternoon, Ray Nothstine, editor of NC Civitas Capitol Connection. Stay with us.